Chapter 1. The Quiet Before Midnight. The night in Venezuela begins like many others. Calm, predictable. In Caracas, traffic slows, shops close their doors, lights turn on in apartments. Families eat dinner. Radios play softly. Nothing feels urgent. There are no sirens, no official warnings, no messages from the government. On the surface, everything is normal. But silence can be misleading. Far from the city streets, activity has already begun. Out at sea, in the Caribbean, ships change position. Not suddenly, carefully, they move without announcements, without flags, without noise. Above the clouds, aircraft fly long paths. They do not rush, they observe. This is how modern operations start, not with explosions, but with patience. Inside Caracas, phones still work. Internet connections feel stable. People scroll, chat, and rest. Yet small signs appear. A delayed message, a short signal loss. A strange pause in communication. Nothing serious, nothing confirmed. Most people ignore it. They have learned to ignore uncertainty. For years, pressure has existed. Sanctions, statements, threats. Another rumor does not change life. That is why the city remains calm. But calm does not mean safe. It only means unaware. As the evening continues, attention shifts elsewhere. To sports, to entertainment, to daily routines. News channels talk about other topics. Weather, economy, traffic. No one mentions what is moving in the dark. This is not accidental. Surprise is built on distraction. And distraction is easy when life feels familiar. In official buildings, lights remain on. Security teams follow routine procedures. Schedules stay unchanged. There is no alert, not because nothing is happening, but because nothing is announced. This is the power of silence. It creates confidence, and confidence lowers guard. Hours pass. The city breathes slowly. At the presidential residence, security remains tight, but not different. No emergency meetings, no extra patrols. Protection depends on expectation, and expectation is normality. Midnight approaches. The air is warm, the streets are quiet. In many homes, people sleep. They do not know that decisions made far away are now moving closer. They do not know that preparation has reached its final stage. In modern conflict, the most important phase is not the attack. It is what comes before. The waiting. Every step planned. Every reaction calculated. Timing matters. Too early and attention rises. Too late and opportunity disappears. This balance is delicate. That is why silence remains. Even official systems do not react. Radars continue scanning. Communications continue flowing. Nothing triggers alarm. Yet invisible actions are already taking place. Digital systems are studied. Signals are measured. Patterns are analyzed. This is not force. It is precision. Precision requires calm. In the hours before midnight, the city offers that calm. This chapter is not about explosions. It is about absence. The absence of warning. The absence of noise. The absence of fear. Because fear would change behavior. And behavior would change outcomes. The quiet before midnight is the most important moment. Once silence breaks, control is tested. But before that, control is assumed. And assumption is weakness. As midnight arrives, nothing changes on the streets. But everything has already changed elsewhere. The pieces are in place. The waiting ends. And soon, the city will learn something important. that the loudest events often begin in total silence. The night is about to move, and when it does, there will be no time to prepare, only time to react. This is how the story begins. Not with fire, not with sound, but with calm. And the calm will not last much longer. Chapter 2. Signals in the Dark. After midnight, the city is still quiet. But the quiet begins to change. In Caracas, the streets remain calm. Most people are asleep. Lights are off. Doors are closed. Nothing looks unusual. Yet, beneath the surface, small signals start to appear. They are not loud. They are not clear. But they matter. A message takes longer to send. A call drops without reason. A screen freezes for a few seconds. Individually, these moments mean nothing. Together, they form a pattern. But patterns are hard to see at night, especially when no one is looking for them. For years, people in Venezuela have lived with uncertainty, electricity problems, internet interruptions, technical issues. So when something slows or stops, most people do not panic. They wait. Waiting has become a habit. Inside communication centers, operators notice small changes. A signal behaves differently. A system responds slower than usual. Still, there is no clear warning. No red lights. No alarms. Everything stays just inside the limits of normal. This is important. In modern operations, the goal is not to break systems at once. It is to soften them, to confuse, to delay, to observe reactions. And reactions are weak when people are unsure. Across the city, security teams follow routine checks. Screens show green indicators. Radars continue scanning. Nothing demands action. At the presidential compound, guards remain alert. But alert in a normal way. No extra orders arrive, no changes in protocol. Protection depends on information. And information is incomplete. Outside official channels, something else begins to move. On social media, a few posts appear. Short messages, vague comments. Anyone else losing signal? Did you hear something? They are not viral. They do not spread fast. At this hour, few people are awake, and those who are awake do not know what to think. This uncertainty is powerful. Clear danger creates response. Unclear danger creates hesitation. Hesitation creates time. And time is valuable. Somewhere far from Caracas, screens show data streams, signals from radars, responses from networks. Everything is measured. Every change is noted. This is not chaos. It is control. The goal is not to be seen. It is to be invisible. As minutes pass, the city continues to sleep. A taxi passes an empty street. A dog barks, then stops. A light turns off in a distant building. Normal sounds, normal life. But the systems that support this normal life are being quietly tested. Not attacked, not destroyed, tested. How fast do they respond? How do they recover? Who notices first? These questions shape the next steps. In past conflicts, power was loud. Today, power is subtle. A delayed signal can be stronger than a bomb because it creates doubt. And doubt spreads silently. Inside government offices, some night staff notice delays. They log reports. They plan to review them later. There is no reason to escalate. Not yet. Escalation requires certainty. And certainty is missing. This is the danger of the dark. It hides intention. As the night moves forward, the signals continue. Small, controlled. Nothing collapses, nothing breaks. But the balance shifts. Systems that worked smoothly before now work just a little slower, just enough. In a crisis, seconds matter. Delays matter. And this chapter is about delay, not dramatic delay, invisible delay, the kind that is only noticed when it is too late. By the time midnight fully passes, the city is still calm. But calm is no longer natural. It is artificial, held in place by routines that do not match reality anymore. This is the moment when the story moves forward. Not with sound, not with force, but with uncertainty. And uncertainty prepares the ground. Soon, the signals will become louder. Soon, the dark will be broken. But before that happens, this quiet confusion does its work. The city is still asleep. The systems are still running. But the night is no longer ordinary, and the next sound will not be subtle. Chapter 3. When the Night Broke. The night does not break slowly. It breaks all at once. In Caracas, the first sound is distant, low, unclear. Some people wake up. Others turn in their beds. Then it comes again, louder. A deep vibration moves through the air. Windows shake lightly. Car alarms begin to cry. This is not thunder. The silence that protected the city is gone. Within minutes, more sounds follow. Not from one place, from several. Different neighborhoods hear different echoes. Short, sharp, explosions. In parts of Venezuela, electricity disappears. Streetlights go dark. Rooms fall into shadow. Phones light up. Messages arrive fast now. Not questions, warnings. Did you hear that? Something is happening. People move to windows. Some step outside. The night sky changes. Low-flying helicopters cut through the darkness. Their sound is heavy, persistent. They do not circle. They move with purpose. Above them, unseen but present, other aircraft hold position. High, silent. This is the moment when uncertainty becomes fear. Security systems react late. Radars struggle. Signals fail. The small delays from earlier now become real problems. Command rooms try to connect. Screens freeze. Lines go quiet. The city is no longer asleep. But it does not fully understand what is happening. That confusion is dangerous. Because response depends on clarity. And clarity is missing. In some areas, people run. In others, they hide. No one has instructions. There is no official voice, no clear message, only noise. And noise creates panic. Inside military zones, activity increases suddenly. Orders are shouted, lights turn on. But coordination is weak. Systems that worked hours ago now respond slowly. The night has become fragmented. Each location experiences it differently. Some hear explosions close. Others only hear aircraft. But everyone feels the same thing: loss of control. In modern operations, the first goal is not damage. It is confusion. And confusion spreads faster than fire. Helicopters descend lower. Their movement is precise. They are not searching. They know where to go. This is not a reaction. It is execution. Above the city, the sky feels crowded. But the ground feels empty. Streets clear quickly. People retreat indoors. Fear pushes them back. Inside homes, families gather. They turn off lights. They whisper. Children ask questions. Parents have no answers. This is how history enters daily life, not with explanation, but with interruption. Within the security network, attempts are made to respond. Units try to reposition. Communications are restored in parts. But the window is small. Minutes matter now. Every delay costs advantage. This is why preparation matters more than reaction. Those who planned wait less. Those who react rush. And rushing creates mistakes. The night continues to move. Explosions stop as suddenly as they began. But the helicopters remain. Their sound fills the silence left behind. This silence is different. It is not calm, it is tension. The kind that presses on the chest. The kind that makes time feel slow. Inside the city, rumors spread fast. Some say it is an attack. Others say it is a drill. No one knows, and not knowing is worse than knowing bad news, because imagination fills the gap. This chapter is about the breaking point, the moment when preparation meets reality, the moment when the invisible becomes visible. The night breaks because the balance breaks. Systems tested earlier now fail under pressure. This is not accident, it is design. The city has crossed a line. There is no return to quiet now. Even if the sounds stop, even if the lights come back, something has changed. Trust in normal life is broken. As the helicopters move toward their destination, the city waits. Breath held, eyes open. The night has revealed its purpose. And the next phase will not be heard by everyone. It will be seen by very few. But its consequences will reach far beyond this night. Because once the night breaks, the morning never arrives the same way again. Chapter 4. Minutes that changed everything. Time behaves differently during an operation. Minutes feel like seconds. Seconds feel heavy. Inside Caracas, the noise from the night begins to fade. Explosions stop. The sky grows quieter. But this is not the end. This is the most important moment. While the city listens for the next sound, a different clock is ticking. Inside control rooms, screens show partial data. Some signals return. Others stay dark. Teams try to understand what has happened. They ask questions quickly. What was hit? What still works? What is lost? But answers arrive too slowly. The delays from earlier hours now shape the outcome. Communication lines are unstable. Orders travel in pieces. This is not total collapse. It is something more dangerous. It is uncertainty. In modern operations, uncertainty is enough. Helicopters move with confidence. They do not hesitate. They follow a fixed path. Their destination is known. They fly low to avoid detection. Their speed is controlled. Above them, air support remains steady, invisible, protective. This is coordination. Every unit knows its role. Every second is planned. There is no room for discussion. Inside secured areas, guards react late. They hear the helicopters. They see movement. But response requires instruction, and instruction requires communication. Communication is weak. This is where preparation matters. Not bravery, not numbers. Preparation. Radars that should warn, do not warn. Systems that should connect, do not connect. The space between awareness and action is too large. And that space is exploited. The helicopters descend. Doors open. Trained teams move fast. There is no shouting, no chaos. Speed replaces force. The goal is not destruction. It is control. Inside the compound, everything happens quickly. Rooms are cleared, paths are secured, every movement follows training. Security plans exist, but plans depend on time. Time is gone. Some systems respond late, some not at all. The idea of protection meets the reality of surprise. This chapter is not about firepower. It is about sequence. What happens first decides what happens next. Those who act first force others to react. And reaction is slower than action. Within minutes, control shifts, not of the city, not of the country, but of the situation. That is enough. Outside, the city waits. People listen. They count seconds. Some record sounds, others pray. They do not see what is happening, but they feel that something decisive is underway. Inside the operation, there is no emotion, only movement. Training replaces fear. Routine replaces doubt. This is how minutes become history. No long battles, no dramatic speeches, just execution. The helicopters prepare to leave. Their mission inside the city is almost complete. The city does not yet understand what these minutes mean. It will understand later, when announcements are made, when names are spoken. But for now, the night holds its breath. This chapter shows a simple truth. In modern conflicts, the most important moments are often the shortest. They do not last hours, they last minutes. And once they pass, everything after is consequence. The balance has shifted, not because of size, not because of noise, but because of timing. As the helicopters rise again, the city remains quiet. Not calm, but stunned. The operation inside the city is finished. What comes next will not depend on helicopters. It will depend on words, statements, reactions, decisions. But those decisions are already shaped by what happened in these minutes. Minutes that few saw. Minutes that few will fully understand. Yet these minutes have changed everything. The city does not know it yet, but the story has crossed. Another point of no return. Chapter 5. Inside the compound. Inside the compound, time is no longer measured in hours. It is measured in steps, in doors, in seconds. The helicopters have landed. Their sound fades behind thick walls. For a moment, there is only movement. Teams spread out quickly, not running, not rushing, moving with purpose. This place was designed for protection. High walls, controlled entrances, multiple layers, but protection depends on warning. And warning did not arrive in time. Inside, security plans exist. Routes are marked. Safe rooms are known, but plans assume something important. Time. Time to react. Time to move. Time to choose. That time is gone. The first rooms are cleared. No resistance, no confusion. Orders are short, quiet. This is not a fight. It is a process. Some guards are surprised, others freeze. Surprise is powerful. It stops action. It slows thought. In moments like this, training decides outcomes. Those who prepared move forward. Those who wait fall behind. Inside the compound, lights flicker. Some systems fail. Others remain on. Shadows stretch across corridors. The air feels heavy. In one part of the building, a decision is made. A familiar plan. Move toward safety. Toward reinforced walls. Toward steel. Safe rooms exist for moments like this. They are built to resist force, to delay entry, to buy time. But delay only works when time is available. Teams close distance quickly. They know the layout. Months of preparation turn maps into memory. This is not improvisation. It is execution. Doors open, hallways are secured. Every step reduces options. Inside the safe area, tension rises. Decisions must be made fast. Stay and wait, move and risk exposure. These choices are difficult, but hesitation is worse. Outside the room, voices are calm, controlled. No shouting, no threats. Calm is intentional. Calm communicates control. When control is clear, resistance weakens. The moment arrives quietly. No dramatic scene, no long exchange. Just a clear end to movement. The operation reaches its objective. Inside the compound, the clock stops ticking. What was protected is now contained. This does not mean celebration. It means transition. The focus shifts immediately from entry to exit. Every operation has two risks: getting in, getting out. Getting out must be faster. Helicopters prepare again. Engines return to life. Outside, the city is still confused, still listening. Inside the compound, the moment passes quickly. The people involved understand something important. Once control is achieved, time becomes dangerous again. The longer the presence, the greater the risk. Movement resumes. Paths are retraced. Positions are reversed. What entered must leave. As the helicopters lift off, the compound grows quiet again. It looks unchanged from the outside. Walls still stand. Lights still glow. But something fundamental has shifted. Control has moved, not permanently, but decisively. In the city, people still do not know details. They feel the absence of sound. The explosions are gone. The helicopters move away. Questions remain. Inside official buildings, phones ring. Messages arrive. Confusion spreads upward now. What happened? Where did it happen? Who was involved? Answers will come later. This chapter is not about a person. It is about a place. A place designed to protect power. A place that learned a hard lesson. Protection without time is fragile. Walls do not think. Systems do not decide. People do. And people need information. Without it, even the strongest structures become vulnerable. As the night continues, the compound returns to silence. But silence now means something different. It means absence. And absence will soon become public. The operation inside the compound is over, but the story it created is only beginning. The city still waits for words. The world still waits for confirmation. And somewhere far away, statements are being prepared. Because after action comes explanation, and explanation shapes history. The next chapter will leave the walls behind. It will follow the movement outward, from the compound to the sea. Chapter 6. From Caracas to the Sea. When the helicopters leave the compound, the city does not follow them. Most people in Caracas remain inside. They listen. They wait. But the story is already moving away. Above the dark streets, the helicopters rise. They do not circle. They do not return. They move toward the coast. Speed matters now, not because of fear, but because of exposure. Every extra minute increases risk. Every delay invites reaction. This phase is about distance. Distance from the city. Distance from uncertainty. The helicopters fly low at first, then higher. Below them, lights disappear. The city becomes a shape, then a memory. The night air changes, humidity fades, wind becomes stronger. Soon, land gives way to water. The Caribbean Sea stretches wide and dark. No streets, no buildings, only movement and silence. Out here, control is easier. Ships wait in position. They have been waiting for hours, for days. Not moving much, not attracting attention. Just waiting. This is the second half of the operation. What happens after success often matters more than success itself. Transfer is delicate. Everything must stay quiet, precise, orderly. The helicopters approach the ship slowly. Lights guide them. The deck is ready. No rush, no confusion. The landing is smooth. Engines power down. The sound that filled the city now disappears completely. At sea, silence returns. Inside the ship, procedures begin. Formal, controlled. This is no longer a city operation. It is an international moment. Jurisdictions change, responsibilities shift. From this point on, the story belongs to a different space. A space governed by rules and law. But law moves slower than helicopters. Time zones matter now. Statements are prepared. Somewhere else, far away, people wait for confirmation. In Washington, clocks show a different hour. Phones ring, screens light up, information moves upward. Reports arrive. Details are checked. Language is chosen carefully. Words will shape reaction. Back at sea, the ship changes course. The destination is clear, not public yet, but planned. From the Caribbean, the route turns north. The journey will be long. Thousands of kilometers. This is not just travel. It is transition, from secrecy to visibility. At sea, time slows again. There is no rush now. The risk has passed. But attention is growing. Satellites observe. Media speculate. The absence of information creates noise. People guess. Analysts talk. But facts remain limited. This is intentional. Control of timing. Is control of narrative. Eventually, the journey continues by air. The sea gives way to sky. Another transfer. Another boundary crossed. The destination becomes known. New York. This choice is not symbolic. It is practical. Courts, institutions, infrastructure. Everything needed for the next phase. When the aircraft lands, the story enters daylight. Not metaphorical daylight. Actual light. Morning. The quiet operation of the night now meets cameras. Vehicles move. Buildings appear. People begin to watch. From this moment, nothing is hidden. The secret phase is over. The public phase begins. In New York, the city wakes up. Most people do not know yet. What has arrived? They drink coffee. They commute. But soon, headlines will change. Names will be spoken. Images will appear. The story that began in silence will now be discussed loudly. This chapter is about movement. From control to exposure. From darkness to light. It shows how modern power moves across spaces, city, sea, sky. Each step planned. Each boundary crossed deliberately. By the time the sun rises fully, the night operation is complete. But its consequences are only starting. The city of Caracas wakes to questions. The world wakes to news. And the sea returns to silence. As this chapter ends, the story stands at a new edge. No longer hidden. No longer quiet. The next chapter will not follow helicopters or ships. It will follow voices, statements, reactions, shock. Because once the story reaches daylight, The world responds. Chapter 7. When the world reacted. Morning arrives in different ways. In New York, the sun rises between tall buildings. People wake up, phones buzz, notifications appear. At first, they are short, breaking news, urgent alerts. Then names are spoken. The quiet operation of the night becomes a public event. Statements are released. In United States, officials speak carefully. Words are chosen. Sentences are measured. They describe the operation as strategic, as precise, as necessary. They say it was planned to avoid casualties. They say it was different from past wars. The message is clear. Control the narrative. Explain the action. Reduce uncertainty. But explanations do not stop reactions. In Venezuela, the mood changes fast. Sirens sound. Security increases. Official channels release messages. Emergency measures are announced. Warnings are issued. The streets feel different now. People are awake. They talk. They argue. Some feel shock. Others feel anger. Others feel fear. Information moves quickly, but clarity does not. In government buildings, decisions are made under pressure. Who speaks first? What is confirmed? What is denied? Silence is dangerous now. But wrong words are worse. At the United Nations, calls begin early. Diplomats request meetings. Statements are drafted. Some countries condemn the action. They speak of sovereignty, of international law. Others remain cautious. They ask questions. They wait for details. No one wants to move too fast, because this moment sets precedent. In international politics, precedent matters. If this can happen here, could it happen elsewhere? This question travels quietly through capitals. In China, officials respond with restraint. They speak about stability, about dialogue. In Russia, reactions are stronger. Words like dangerous and unacceptable appear. Each response reflects history and interest. Media coverage expands. Analysts fill screens. Experts debate. Some focus on legality, others on strategy. Was it justified? Was it legal? What comes next? But behind these questions is another one. What does this mean for ordinary people? Markets react quickly. Oil prices move. Energy stocks change. Numbers shift on screens. For traders, this is data. For families, it is future cost. Gas, food, jobs, everything connects. Back in New York, the legal process begins. Court schedules are discussed. Charges are listed. This is a different world now. Not helicopters, not darkness. Paper, lawyers, documents, the speed of the night meets the slowness of law. Outside, cameras wait. People gather, some protest, some support. Voices rise. This is the moment when stories multiply. Each side tells its version. Each version finds an audience. Truth becomes layered, not false, but fragmented. Inside Venezuela, control tightens. Security forces increase presence. Borders are watched. The government speaks of defense, of unity. Some listen, some doubt. Uncertainty returns. Not from silence this time, but from noise. Too many voices, too many opinions. This chapter is about reaction, not action. Reaction reveals priorities. Who speaks first? Who stays silent? Who condemns? Who supports? These choices define alliances. They shape future negotiations. They influence pressure. The world has now seen what happened. It cannot be unseen. But understanding is still forming. This moment is unstable, not because of weapons, but because of interpretation. History will judge this event later. For now, it is raw, fresh. As the day continues, reactions spread. In Latin America, in Europe, in Asia. Each region sees the event. Through its own lens, no single meaning exists. And that is the reality of global events. They are not owned by one story. They live many lives at once. As this chapter closes, the immediate shock begins to settle. But the consequences do not. They stretch forward. Into diplomacy, into courts, into daily life. The night operation is complete. The world response has begun. And the final question remains open. After the first reactions fade, what decisions will remain? And who will carry the weight of what was done when the world was watching? Chapter 8, 24 hours later. 24 hours can feel short, but after a night like this, it feels heavy. In Venezuela, the day after the operation begins slowly. People wake up tired, not from work, from tension. The city looks the same. Buildings stand, streets open. But the atmosphere has changed. Security is visible now. Checkpoints appear. Uniforms are everywhere. This is not chaos. It is control. Authorities announce emergency measures. Not all details are clear, but the message is strong. Order must be maintained. Inside government offices, meetings continue without pause. Decisions must be made quickly. Who speaks for the country now? What message is sent to the world? How is stability protected? These questions do not wait. In Caracas, people talk quietly. In markets, on buses, in homes. Some express anger, some express fear. Others say nothing. Silence becomes a form of protection. Rumors still circulate. But now they compete with official statements. Truth and interpretation move side by side. In New York, the legal process continues. Paper replaces action. Procedure replaces speed. Courtrooms prepare. Lawyers speak. The night operation now belongs to the law. This shift matters. Because law moves differently than power. It takes time. It demands proof. It allows challenge. What happened in minutes may take months or years to resolve on paper. Outside the courtroom, cameras remain. Questions are repeated. Answers stay limited. This is deliberate. Every word now has consequence. In Washington, officials review reactions, international responses, market movements, diplomatic signals. They measure impact. Not only what happened, but how it is being received. This is the strategic phase. Action is finished. Assessment begins. At the United Nations, debate continues. Some countries demand investigation. Others demand restraint. There is no consensus, only positions. Resolutions are discussed. Language is negotiated. Words like sovereignty, precedent, and international law appear again and again. These words do not change reality overnight, but they shape memory. History is written slowly. In Venezuela, daily life tries to continue. Schools open, shops reopen, people return to routine. Because routine is stability. But conversations are different now. They are cautious, measured. Everyone understands that something important has shifted, not only leadership, but limits. The idea of what is possible has changed. This realization spreads quietly. In the region, neighboring countries watch closely. They review their own positions, their own vulnerabilities. If it happened there, could it happen elsewhere? This question stays unspoken, but it is present. Markets adjust again, not sharply, carefully. Investors dislike uncertainty. They seek signals. Signals are mixed. That creates waiting. Waiting is uncomfortable, but familiar. By the end of the 24 hours, the initial shock fades, not because it is resolved, but because the human mind adapts. This is how societies survive. They absorb impact. They reorganize. They move forward. But adaptation should not be confused with acceptance. Questions remain unanswered. Legal questions, political questions, moral questions. Who decides when power crosses borders? Who protects law when speed replaces process? These questions will not disappear. They will return. In discussions, in classrooms, in future crises. This chapter is not an ending. It is a pause, a moment to observe what remains. After action and reaction. What remains is responsibility. Responsibility to govern carefully, to speak honestly, to understand consequences. For Venezuela, the road ahead is uncertain, but uncertainty is not new. What is new is the lesson written into these hours. That silence can hide preparation, that speed can change history, and that after the world reacts, life continues, quietly, carefully. As this story closes, one final question stays with us. When the headlines fade and the cameras leave, what choices will be made in the calm that follows? And will those choices build stability or prepare the ground for the next night of silence?